12-year-old Joseph Hall was found guilty for the murder of his neo-Nazi father, Jeffrey Hall. But how did this happen? The story starts just a few years prior. With blonde hair and just over 4 feet tall, he seemed like the average 10-year-old boy, without a care in the world and his whole life ahead of him. He would then go on to commit a terrible act of murdering his father. Now, Joseph already carried a burden of social and behavioral issues, many of which were caused by a traumatic and abusive upbringing at the hands of his father, Jeffrey Hall. Now, there's a lot of issues caused by his father in the story, and I'll let you be the judge of whether this is right or wrong. Welcome back to Something in the Shadows. My name's Tyler. Today we have the case of Joseph Hall. To understand why a 10-year-old boy would murder his father, we need to understand the father and the issues he caused for his son. Jeffrey Hall, or Jeff Hall, was a plumber in Riverside, California, and also the regional leader of the National Socialist Movement, or commonly referred to as the Nazi Party. He murdered his father at 4 a.m. as he slept on the couch. Hall was the neo-Nazi who believed in fighting for an all-white society and had said that he would die for the cause. According to the boy, the motive for murder was that he was tired of his father hitting him and his stepmother. On September 25, 2011, the story of the murder was broadcasted on 60 Minutes. In 2013, when Joseph was 13 years old, he was sentenced to 10 years in a California juvenile facility. Let's take a look at Jeffrey Hall's neo-Nazi activity. For 3 years, 32-year-old Hall had been having difficulty finding work because of the economic downturn in the construction industry. Due to his perception that Jews and non-whites were responsible for thinning job market, he became a local leader in the neo-Nazi movement. In October of 2009, Hall led a group from the National Socialist Movement in a rally near a day laborer site in Riverside. They wore World War II-era Nazi garb, and in a November 2009 interview about the rallies in Riverside, Arizona, and Minnesota, Hall said, "They're proud of who they are, tired of the white guilt being shoved on their kids and multiculturalism. They can't see any reason for it." In 2010, he ran for election against an incumbent for the Western Municipal Water District Board as a white supremacist, and he received about a third of the votes. In March of 2011, Hall and his group of about 24 white supremacists took to the streets in the affluent primary residential Claremont, Los Angeles County, sometimes called the City of Trees and PhDs. They had a screaming confrontation with counter-protesters of more than 200 immigrant right activists, who decried the group as racist. Hall said, "We patrol the borders, we see the devastation, we see the drugs, we know the reality." Dozens of officers from several police agencies were on hand. Just 12 hours before Hall's death, a reporter from the New York Times was in Hall's home, interviewing him and members of his group. She also spoke to the 10-year-old, who showed off a leather belt bearing a silver insignia of the Nazi SS that his father had given him. Hall bragged that he was teaching his eldest son Joseph to use night vision equipment and to shoot a gun. The 10-year-old child told police how he took a .357 revolver from a shelf in the closet, pulled the hammer back, aimed the gun at the father's ear while he was asleep on the couch, and shot him on May 1st, 2011. Joseph told police that the day before the shooting, his father had threatened to remove all the smoke detectors and burn the house down while the family slept. Joseph admitted that he was tired of his dad hitting him and his mother. His 26-year-old stepmother, Krista, had also said that Hall had been violent with her and the son, sometimes losing control and kicking his son in the back. He punished his children in varying extremes on a daily basis. The police report said that the house was filthy and the floor was littered with clothes and the odor of urine. Many weapons were accessible to the children. The son was arrested and taken to a juvenile hall, while the other 4 children were taken into protective custody. Krista was later arrested and charged with criminal storage of firearms and child neglect. Joanne Patterson, Jeff's mother and Joseph's grandmother, was given temporary custody of the other 4 children. In a 60-minute interview, she said that she was not surprised that Joseph had killed his father, but that she expected it would not happen until he was older. And she said she thought that Jeff becoming a neo-Nazi had hastened it. She also said that he had misbehaved by starting fires. The son stated his motivation for the killing was an episode of Criminal Minds, where he claimed he saw a child shoot his abusive father and did not face any consequences for it. He also believed his father would recover from being shot and that the two of them could reconcile. TV clearly had a severe impact on the child's interpretation of the justice system. So what exactly happened with the child himself, 10-year-old Joseph Hall? Let's talk about the trial. Despite his age, 10-year-old Joseph Hall was charged with the murder of his father. If convicted, he faced incarceration at a juvenile detention center, although he could not have been held past the age of 25. Joseph's attorney initially considered a defense of not guilty by reason of insanity. The defense argued that the child had developmental disabilities and was conditioned to violence by growing up in an abusive household. According to court records, Joseph was of low average intelligence and suffered from attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Joseph's public defender quoted the boy as saying, "I thought if I shoot him, maybe he won't be able to hurt us." The prosecutors claimed that the murder was premeditated. According to the prosecution, Joseph told his sister days in advance that he had planned on shooting their father. He also had a history of violent behavior dating back to kindergarten, when he stabbed a teacher with a pencil. The district attorney portrayed Jeff Hall as a loving father and contended that his Nazism had nothing to do with the murder. In 2013, Joseph was found guilty of murder. The judge ruled that the minor knew what he did was wrong and that there was planning and understanding in the commission of that crime. During the sentencing hearing, lawyers presented evidence about Joseph's psychological well-being. Joseph was sentenced to juvenile detention until he reached the age of 23. Because Joseph was born on June 19th of 2000, he became 23 on June 19th of 2023. In 2015, the Supreme Court declined to take Joseph's case, letting stand a ruling that a 10-year-old should be able to understand his Miranda rights. The United States Supreme Court also declined to hear the case, denying a petition for writ of certiorari in 2016. Now, technically, Joseph should be a free man today, but with no known news of his release, there are only two possible options. Either one, he's still behind bars, or two, has already been released, but with a new identity. We can only hope the juvenile detention system has served this child, well now a man, well. Do you believe that this was a correct course of action for Joseph Hall? Many believe that he was simply acting out, back against an abusive father. But he also wasn't in immediate danger at the time of the murder. So let me know down in the comments below what you think was the right course of action. And if you'd like to support the channel, then please leave a like and subscribe. Have a good day.